the Sicilians purchased Heir. Chapter 1. The Devil at the Gate. The Tuscan sun was setting, casting long, blood-red shadows across the crumbling vineyards of the Rossi estate. Sophia Rossi stood on the terrace, gripping the stone railing until her knuckles turned white. A black limousine, sleek and predatory like a panther, wound its way up the cypress-lined driveway. He was here, Lorenzo De Luca, the shark of Sicily, the man who had ruthlessly acquired her father's company, piece by piece, until nothing was left but this house and the dirt beneath her feet. The car door opened, and Lorenzo stepped out. He was devastatingly handsome in a way that felt dangerous. He wore a charcoal three-piece suit that cost more than Sophia's entire life savings. His hair was midnight dark, swept back from a face carved from granite, and his eyes, God, those eyes were cold, hard amber. Sophia smoothed her simple cotton dress. She had no jewels, no designer clothes to arm herself with. She had only her pride. "Signorina Rossi," Lorenzo said, his voice a deep baritone that vibrated in her chest. He didn't offer his hand. He simply stood at the bottom of the stairs, looking up at her like a king, surveying a conquered peasant. "Signor De Luca," Sophia replied, her voice steady despite the trembling of her knees. "To what do I owe the displeasure? Have you come to evict me personally?" Lorenzo walked up the stairs, slowly, deliberately. The scent of expensive cologne and spicy tobacco surrounded him. He stopped one step below her, bringing them eye to eye. "Eviction is messy, Sophia. I prefer acquisition." He pulled a folded document from his jacket pocket. "Your father's gambling debts were not just limited to the company. He leveraged the estate. This villa, the vineyards, the very ground we stand on. It all belongs to me as of noon today." Sophia gasped, the air rushing out of her lungs. "That's impossible. This is my mother's legacy." "It is my property," Lorenzo corrected ruthlessly, "and I intend to raze it to the ground to build a resort. Unless," he let the word hang in the heavy air. "Unless what?" Sophia whispered. Lorenzo's gaze dropped to her mouth, dark and intense. "Unless you offer me something of equal value. I need a wife, Sophia. A respectable, old-money Italian wife to secure my position on the board of directors. Marry me for 1 year, and I will sign the deed over to you." "Marry you?" Sophia stepped back, horrified. "I would rather die." Lorenzo smiled, a cruel, mirthless curve of his lips. "Then start packing, Cara. The bulldozers arrive on Monday." Chapter 2. A Deal with the Devil. The contract lay on the mahogany desk between them, heavy with destiny. The penthouse in Rome was a fortress of glass and steel, cold and impersonal, just like its owner. Sophia held the pen, her hand shaking. 1 year, Lorenzo stated, pouring himself a glass of whiskey. He didn't look at her. He was looking out at the lights of the eternal city. "You will play the part of the devoted wife in public. You will host my galas. You will smile for the cameras. In private, we live separate lives. And the villa, Sophia asked, her voice small, is yours the day the divorce is finalized? Sophia looked at him. He was facing the window, his broad back tense. Why did he need her? He could have any supermodel in Europe, but he wanted a Rossi. It was the ultimate revenge against her father to own his daughter. What about marital duties? She asked, her cheeks burning. Lorenzo turned slowly. His amber eyes raked over her, from her messy bun to her scuffed ballet flats. The look was dismissive, yet it ignited a strange, hot flare in her belly. Do not worry, Sophia, he scoffed. My taste runs to women who know how to please a man, not blushing virgins who smell of old grapes. Your virtue is safe with me. The insult stung more than it should have. Sophia signed the paper with a vicious scratch of the pen. Done, she snapped. I hope you choke on your victory, Lorenzo. Careful, wife, he warned, stepping closer and taking the paper. You haven't even seen the ring yet. Chapter 3. The Wedding Night Deception. The wedding had been a spectacle. The paparazzi called it the union of the century. Sophia felt like a doll in her lace Vera Wang gown, paraded before the elite. Now they were alone. Not in separate rooms, as promised, but in a private chalet in the Swiss Alps, snowed in by a sudden blizzard. The fire roared in the stone hearth. Lorenzo had discarded his tuxedo jacket and loosened his tie. He looked rugged, untamed. There is only one bed, Sophia noted, standing by the door with her suitcase. The contract said separate lives. The contract didn't account for a blizzard taking out the power in the guest wing, Lorenzo muttered. Don't be a child. The bed is king-sized. Stay on your side, and I will stay on mine. Sophia changed into modest silk pajamas and climbed into the massive bed, turning her back to him. But she couldn't sleep. The heat radiating from him was intoxicating. Hours later, a clap of thunder shook the chalet. Sophia, terrified of storms since childhood, flinched and let out a small cry. Instantly, a strong arm wrapped around her waist, pulling her flush against a hard, muscular chest. SHH, Lorenzo's voice was rough with sleep, surprisingly gentle. It is just thunder. Sophia froze. Lorenzo. He didn't let go. Instead, he nuzzled his face into the crook of her neck. He inhaled sharply. You smell like jasmine, he murmured, half asleep. Why do you always smell so innocent? She turned in his arms. The moonlight filtered through the window, illuminating his face. The cruelty was gone, replaced by raw, unguarded hunger. Lorenzo, she whispered, her hand involuntarily reaching up to touch his jaw. We shouldn't. I know, he groaned. His hand slid up her spine, tangling in her hair. I should hate you. You are your father's daughter. I am not my father, she breathed. Prove it, he challenged. He kissed her then. It wasn't a polite kiss. It was a claiming. It was angry and desperate, and shattered every rule they had written. And when he pulled her body beneath his, Sophia didn't fight. She realized with terrifying clarity that she didn't want to save the vineyard anymore. She wanted him. Chapter 4. The Shattered Illusion. 3 months of bliss. That's what it had been. Sofia and Lorenzo had returned to Rome, but the separate bedrooms were forgotten. They were inseparable. Lorenzo took her to the opera in Vienna, to private beaches in Greece. He bought her emeralds to match her eyes. He made love to her every night as if he were worshipping her. Sofia had fallen deeply, foolishly in love. She thought he had too. She was planning a surprise dinner for his birthday. She sat at his desk in the study, looking for a stamp, when she saw a file labeled Project Rossi. Smiling, thinking it was about the renovations for her villa, she opened it. The smile died. It wasn't a renovation plan. It was a dossier. It contained surveillance photos of her from months before they met. It contained a medical report, her medical report. Subject Sofia Rossi. Fertility status high. Objective heir acquisition. A letter from his lawyer fell out. Lorenzo, once she produces the heir, you can file for custody based on her financial instability and nullify the marriage. The Rossi bloodline will end, and your son will be raised a De Luca. The room spun. The floor tilted beneath her feet. It wasn't love. It wasn't even about the board seat. It was a breeding program. He wanted to steal her child and discard her, just to wipe her family name off the face of the earth. Sofia. Lorenzo stood in the doorway, holding a bouquet of red roses. He stopped when he saw the file in her hands. His face went pale. Sofia, listen to me. Did you write this? She asked, her voice a ghostly whisper. She held up the lawyer's letter. Did you plan to take my baby? That was before, Lorenzo said, stepping forward, desperation in his eyes. That was before I knew you, before I loved you. Love, Sofia laughed, a broken, hysterical sound. You don't know the meaning of the word. You are a monster, Lorenzo. You bought me. You used me. And I will never let you touch me again. She threw the file at him. Papers scattered like falling snow. She ran past him, ignoring his shouts, ignoring the shattering of a vase as he punched the wall in frustration. Chapter 5. The Secret. 6 months later, the small cottage on the coast of Cornwall was drafty, but it was safe. Sofia, now going by her mother's maiden name, painted seascapes to sell to tourists. She placed a hand on her swollen belly. 7 months. She was huge, and her back ached constantly. She had vanished without a trace. No credit cards, no cell phone. She knew Lorenzo's reach was infinite, but she had become a ghost. She sat on the porch, watching the gray waves. She missed him. God help her, she missed him every day. She missed his touch, his laugh, the way he looked at her when he thought she wasn't looking. But she couldn't risk her child. A black SUV crunched over the gravel of her driveway. Sofia's heart stopped. She struggled to stand up, her instinct to run, but it was too late. Lorenzo got out of the car. He looked terrible. The Italian suits were gone, replaced by jeans and a wrinkled shirt. He had lost weight. His face was gaunt, covered in a thick beard, and his eyes were hollow pits of despair. He walked toward the porch, his gaze locking instantly onto her stomach. He stopped dead, grabbing the railing for support. "Found you," he rasped, his voice cracked and broken. "Go away," Sophia warned, grabbing a ceramic pot. "I swear, Lorenzo, if you try to take this baby." Lorenzo fell to his knees in the dirt. The rain began to drizzle, soaking him instantly. "I don't want to take anything. I want to give." He pulled a document from his pocket, soaked and crumpled. "The divorce papers," he said, holding them up. "I signed them. I gave you the villa. I gave you half my fortune. I signed away my parental rights. You are free, Sophia. I had to see that you were alive. I thought you were dead." Sophia lowered the pot. He had signed away his rights. The man who was obsessed with his legacy. "Why?" she asked, tears mixing with the rain on her face. "Because I love you," Lorenzo sobbed, bowing his head, defeated. "More than my name, more than my vengeance. I would rather you be happy and far away from me than be miserable by my side." He placed the papers on the wet stairs and turned to walk away. A man with nothing left to lose. Chapter 6. The Vow Renewed. "Lorenzo." Sophia's voice cut through the sound of the rain and the surf. He froze, his hand on the car door handle. He turned back. Sophia was standing at the bottom of the stairs, clutching her belly, ignoring the rain soaking her dress. "You idiot," she cried. "You're just going to leave. You drive all the way to England, look like a homeless person, and you're just going to leave. You told me to go." He shouted back, frustration and hope warring in his eyes. "I told the monster to go," she yelled. "But the man who just gave up his legacy for me, the man who is the father of this child, him I might be willing to talk to." Lorenzo crossed the distance in 3 strides. He fell to his knees before her again, wrapping his arms around her waist, pressing his face against the curve of her stomach. He wept, hot tears soaking through her dress. "I am sorry," he murmured into her skin. "Agape mu, vita mia. I am so sorry. I will spend every day for the rest of my life making it up to you." Sophia ran her fingers through his wet hair, feeling the tension leave his body. "You have a lot of work to do, Lorenzo De Luca." He looked up at her, his amber eyes shining with a light that matched the breaking sun behind the clouds. "I know, and I will start by building the nursery." He stood up and swept her into his arms, carrying her back into the warmth of the cottage. The contract was burned. The vengeance was forgotten. All that remained was the love they had forged in the fire. The end